Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are we today? Welcome to another episode of Barefoot Conversations with Magdalene. That's right, Barefoot Conversations with Magdalene. That's me, Magdalene Adenike. How are you? Can't believe it's been a week. It just seems to fly by when you think that, oh yes, Tuesday's next week, but next week just seems to come so quick and then there's another Tuesday again. But anyways, how are you doing? How was last week? I hope you had a great time last week. Last week, I was on air and I spoke to us about who are you? That was the topic of last week's conversation. Like, who are you? And I've had so many feedback from that because people were like, thank you so much, because it's something that was relevant to them and also for people that they knew as well. And so I'm so grateful for all the wonderful feedback that I'm getting from this, either online or offline. I'm just your humble servant doing that which I feel is needed to do. So before I go any further, I just want to quickly introduce myself and then we talk on today's topic. My name is Magdalene Adenike and I am the CEO of Music Relief Foundation, where we work with young people to unleash their creative spirit. And I am also the CEO of Magdalene Adenike, where I work and coach women in their lives and businesses in order for them to live a purpose-filled life and become transformed in their mindset, transformed in their living, transformed in everything about them that will also eventually lead to a transformed lifestyle within themselves, their family, and the wider society. Why do I do what I do? I spoke briefly about my own life story in the first episode. I do what I do because of my own journey. Because I have gone through a lot in my life and I've been transformed along the way. And I've decided not to keep it to myself, but I wanted to impact lives. I wanted to share with you, my fellow listeners out there, how you can also live a transformed life. Briefly, let me just talk about my life story. I was born in Nigeria, in West Africa, and I was brought here as a young child by my parents, myself and my younger sister. We were brought here in 92 for greener pastures. And so when I came over to this country, not knowing anything, the first thing that hit me, obviously, coming out of the plane was the cold. It was how cold it was, because we came in March and it was so cold. Coming from a very hot country to a very cold country, you can imagine. But that was not the main thing. That was my, started my transformation, little that I know at that time. What started it was when I started primary school, because I had to finish off the last 6 months of primary school. When I started primary school and began to experience bullying, this is something I've never experienced in my life before. I didn't even know what it was. But then I've come to a new country, a new environment, a new school, eager to make friends, but then kids can be cruel. And then guess what? What happened? I began to get bullied because of my accent. And that's what I spoke about on my first show. What about your accent? Because it's something that is dear to me. So I don't come to you and talk to you about things that are not relevant to me. I talk to you about things that are relevant to me and also happening within the society, in fact, affecting other people's lives as well. So I'd love to get your comments on this. Again, online, offline, all your comments are much appreciated. So continue with my story now. I went through bullying for the last 6 months, because I was only there for 6 months. Leaving there, going on, about to start secondary school, me thinking the worst is over. That's a new chapter in my life. Little did I know that more things were ahead of me, more horror were ahead of me. Long story short, because I wanted to fit in, because I wanted to so desperately stop being the cause of ridicule from my fellow peers, what did I do? I chose another identity. How did I choose another identity? I said to myself, I need to learn this accent of a thing that is causing people to laugh at me and mock me. I need to ensure that I get this accent right. And that's what I started to do. And not only that, I said, I need to ensure that I, in one way or the other, join the in group, as you would say, the in group, to ensure that nobody laughs at me anymore, that I am part of those people that are like, yeah, everybody wants to be part of. In one way or the other, that happened. Don't ask me why. This is almost 20 years ago, but it happened. But then, unfortunately, I say, well, unfortunately, but fortunately now, but at that time it was unfortunately. Wanting to join the in group, what happens is that there are consequences when you move from who you are to who you're not. There are consequences that happens with that. And what was that consequence? I fell pregnant. I found myself pregnant at a young age. So you can imagine now, parents coming from Africa or from wherever part of the world they've come to, brought the child to a new country for greener pastures. You're not expecting to hear that your child is going to fall pregnant, but then that's what happened. this young lady, myself, fell pregnant in school. And so it was a very traumatic time. It was a very horrendous time. I would not wish this on my worst enemy, because it's not something that you should be able to go for, because it's traumatic. It affects the psyche of the human being. When people are smiling and laughing and communicating, and you see them very loud and going about, do you look at them and think that, oh wow, everything is okay with them? Get them on a one-to-one, develop a rapport with them, and build their trust, and they begin to open up to you their pains and their insecurities. And you find out that some of these pains and insecurities did not happen overnight. It's something that has triggered from way back, something that happened to them at a young age, something that happened to them at a past time in their lives, that is causing them now to put on this facade and want to show to people that, yeah, this is who I am, when it's not really you. That's one of the things I touched on last week. And so that was what was happening to me. I was going through all these issues in my life, but one thing that was constant and consistent within me was music, because I'm a musician, I am a musician, and I've always been singing from the church. That's where my number one platform has been and still is, even up to this point. Regardless of wherever I go to, I still come back to the church, because that's my foundation. And then music was something that I had within me. It was taken away from me because I was told that I was a disgrace. I could no longer stand in front of the audience to sing to other people, but I needed to get away from the audience. So now I didn't have that external things. I was doing it internally. So that's how I was kind of healing myself internally. I want to fast forward to this point, because I'm talking about transformation and how I am able to be here today to talk to you on Barefoot Conversation. In everything that I've been through in life, I've learned, when I look back now, that it's been a lesson. It's been a hard lesson, but it's something I've learned, and I've been able to pick those lessons from those hard times and being able to work on them to ensure that my life is changed in the way I speak, in the way I communicate with my children, family members, and people around me, and also which led me to starting my organization, Music Relief Foundation, because I said, how can I be able to impact other people's lives? So I started off with working with just teen parents who were like myself, who were going through issues, who are going through issues, and said, okay, how can I help you? Because I didn't have anybody to help me, but I've been able to come through that, and I'm standing here. How can I help you to stand as well? And that is what I started to do. But then in the process of time, the more you go out, the more you speak to people, the more you become encouraged. You encourage other people, and you yourself become encouraged, because that which you're doing, you find that it's helping other people. The word, people come to use the word as inspiration, not so much motivational, but more of inspirational, saying that, wow, your life story. And the more that was happening, the more other platforms were beginning to open. They say, come and speak to us, come and talk to us. And then from that now, mentors began to come into my life and say, you know what, you have a story, write a book. And so all of these things I'm telling you is in my book, From Shame to Strength, Music Saved Me. You can purchase this in Amazon. So that is why I am here today talking to you. And I just want to quickly go ahead with today's topic, the impact of Brexit on the female entrepreneur. The impact of Brexit on a female entrepreneur. I don't know how many of you voted in. I don't know how many of you voted out. But I know for sure that I voted in. And when obviously the results came out that we were now leaving Europe, I don't know, but for others who voted in, it affected me. It was just like, you have a baby and then the baby is cruelly snatched away from you. That was a feeling I was going through. So I was grieving. I was really grieving. Even as much as I was smiling, I was grieving. But I didn't really understand the whole complexities of the whole thing. But I knew that I did not want the United Kingdom to leave Europe. That was one thing I knew deep down inside. But don't ask me to explain, but I just didn't know. But I just knew I didn't want United Kingdom to leave Europe. So I began to research this when I was thinking of topics to talk to you, my viewers, on. And then when it came to this, the impact of Brexit, and obviously Brexit is still so relevant, because any day now, our Prime Minister, Theresa May, is going to trigger Article 51, and then, or is it 51 or 52? I think it's 51. And then what does that mean to you? What does that mean to you as a person? What does it mean to you as an entrepreneur? What does it mean to you as a business person, as an employee? These are things that we need to find out. We just can't keep quiet. You have to know. You have to be in the know. And so I began to do my research. And one of the things that came up, obviously, and I put it down, is that according to the Office of National Statistics, 25% of registered self-employed people in the UK are women. That's around 1.2 million self-employed women in either full or part-time employment. That's a lot. It's not a lot when you look at it in a larger scale of things. But when you look at it on its own, 1.2 million self-employed women in either full or part-time employment. That is a lot. And now we're talking about Brexit. I remember watching a documentary yesterday about the impact of Brexit and the way it was clearly defined, and it was such a wonderful program to watch. And ironically, I just happened to watch it last night ahead of my show today, is the fact that Brexit has now been described as a divorce. So United Kingdom is divorcing itself from Europe. And so with any divorce, or anybody that has gone for a divorce or going for a divorce, you know it's not as straightforward as it is. For myself, I've been through a divorce before, so I fully understand. So something that you meeting the guy, the lady, and you guys come together and you say you love each other and you want to marry, and you can say you want to marry today, and you go to the registry office, you book a time, if they have a slot as soon as or whenever you get married, no much complications. But then when it comes to the divorce now, it's not as straightforward as that. And so that's what's happening now. So they're looking at ways of, okay, how can we do deals that is still going to be beneficial to the United Kingdom? And but then there was something that was coming out yesterday was that the people of the United Kingdom were lied to, because we're saying that we would have to pay about 350 million or billion pounds back to Europe. And so when I heard that figure, I was like, whoa, is that true? Are we going to have to pay that money? So for those who voted out now, so the commentator was out there asking different people, and one person said, oh, we were lied to. We were lied to because we were not given this information. I'm not a politician. I don't know the ins and outs and everything. I'm just coming here to talk to you about the impact for me as a female entrepreneur. What does that mean to me? I know for a fact that it's a divorce that United Kingdom if you want to describe it as that, United Kingdom are divorcing itself from Europe. But is it an easy transaction? It's not going to be an easy transaction because of the fact that we have been within the EU for over 40 years. So imagine now being married to a person for over 40 years and all the assets and everything that you guys have worked together and built to have together. Now all of a sudden you say you're going to have a divorce. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, because you have to go back and then begin to look at various things. What belongs to this person? What percentage is fair for that person and that person? But then in a divorce, it's two parties. But now you're looking at United Kingdom with all the other European countries. How are we going to do that? So when you look at the female entrepreneurs now, I gave you the figure. I said it's about around 1.2 self-employed women, 1.2 self-employed women in either full or part-time employment. For women now, the gender inequality is still there, in a sense that men get more money than women. And when apart from the money issue, you look at also the angle of men being more, I want to make sure I choose my words rightfully. Men being more assertive, let me use that word. Not in a bad way, but more assertive in going for things than women. Some women, including myself, sometimes we kind of hold back and we're like, should I or should I not? We begin to think, how can I do this? Will I be able to do this? Will I not be able to do this? I remember I gave a Facebook live. I did a live stream on my Facebook group just yesterday again. And I said, just do it. Just do it. And I made an example of having 10 things in a list. And sometimes we feel that we need to have at least 8 things covered, or 9 things, or better still, all 10 things before we start. And I said, just do it. Even if you have just 1 or 2 on your list you've ticked off already, just go ahead and do it. Just do it, for the fact that you know you want to do it. And I think for women as well, most of the time we tend to hold back. We want to okay, let's think about this. Can I do this? Do I have childcare? Do I have this? Am I covered? Can I ensure this? Can I do that before we go ahead? So now we have Brexit now. So the female entrepreneurs who are already doing business in Europe, things are not going to be the same way once Article 51 is triggered. Once Theresa May triggers that article, it's not going to be the same way. So my question now, I've got some things that I wrote down. I said, what are the fears? So one of the fears that came to mind is that, will we lose money? Are we going to lose money in a sense that with the suppliers that we already have, are we still going to be paying them the same as we were paying them before? Or we're gonna have to increase our pay because of the way things are now? Because before, obviously, we're covered under the EU, so there's free trade and we can just kind of move about and work with each other freely because we're all part of, in a sense, one umbrella. But now we're not. Now we're leaving. What's going to happen? The next thing I put down is, do we still continue businesses? Okay, I've said that already. Are the new laws going to continue to favor us? That's another thing that we need to think of, because this Brexit is a very topical issue right now. So as women and as male entrepreneurs, we must think of these things, because these are vital things that are happening. You can't bury your head in the soil. And for those who are saying, oh, I'm not an entrepreneur, I'm an employee, you need to think of it in this way. Your employer, is it a large organization? Are they dealing with Europe already in the European countries? And once we are separated from Europe, how is it going to impact you in your employment? So it's not something that we should just say, oh, I'll leave it for them. It's only for those. It's only impacting those who are entrepreneurs. No, look at the cars. UK is the largest exporter within Europe, and so we export so many different things. So now that Brexit is going to be taking place, we know that it's going to be taking place. We don't know when, but we know that it's going to be taking place, and from all indication, it seems that it's going to be taking place very soon. How is that going to impact us when we want to buy cars, especially when it's not UK made? What are we going to do? Are we having to spend even more money? All of these things boils down to money, and we really need to consider this. It's not time to fold your hands and keep quiet and say it's only affecting them. It's time for us to begin to find out, just like that man in the documentary yesterday that said, oh, we were lied to. I don't want to give any misleading information and say that I know it all. I don't know it all. I'm just talking about the impacts of what I feel it will happen for female entrepreneurs, because I'm a female entrepreneur, so I need to be in the know. How is it going to impact me with my businesses, in the sense that we're not already trading within Europe, but then if we had more time, eventually I would love to go into Europe and other parts of the world to trade. Now that it's going to be happening very soon, we're going to be leaving Europe very soon. How will it impact me when that time comes and I say I want to trade? What will I have to do? What more would I need to do in order for me to do this? So these are questions that I'm asking myself, and I said I needed to also have this conversation with you guys, because it's so important we understand all of these things. And it's so ironic that I'm having this discussion right now in the month of March, because I know on the 8th of March is International Women's Day, but it seems to have extended from the 1st of March to the 31st of March. So we're just going to call this month, if you're not calling it, I am calling it. I'm giving it a name. Yes, that's me being bold, saying it. March is International Women's Month, so I'm saying it. If it's already been said, oh well, so I'm not new to it then, but I'm saying it. So the theme for this month is be bold for change. Be bold for change. We know change is coming, but we must be bold. We can't allow the fears hold us back. For those who are already trading, how would that impact me? Oh, I'm scared. You can't. This is not the time to run and hide under the table. This is the time to be bold. And how are you going to be bold? You need to be in the know. You need to acquire the necessary knowledge that you need for your business, for yourself, for your family, for your employment. Because like I've already mentioned, it's not just going to affect those who are self-employed. It's going to affect those who are in employment within organizations that are already trading within EU. Because once that article is triggered off, all of these things are going to be impacting every one of us. So we need to know. So did we get lied to, like the guy said on the documentary yesterday? I don't know. I would love to hear from you guys. How many of you voted in and how many of you voted out? And for those who voted in, did you wish you voted out? And for those who voted out, did you wish you voted in? I know it makes no difference now, because I heard briefly in the news, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, that the First Lady of Scotland, oh, her name is just literally escaped my mind as I'm talking to you right now. She's talking about a second referendum. How possible is that? How likely is that? Will that actually take place? And if it did take place, would you change your votes? would you change your vote? Because I remember when we were having the build up to Brexit, we had Boris Johnson and then we had his dad. The journalist went to interview his dad, and his dad was like, oh, I want us to remain in. But the son is saying we want out. So you can see within a family, you already have that demarcation, because father is saying this and child is saying this. So what's happening here? Is this a ploy to just bring about confusion to the people of the United Kingdom? I don't know. These are things that I'm just throwing out to you guys. And I want you guys to think about it. I want you guys to begin to understand the whole thing, because it's not something to keep quiet about. Because as adults, you can't keep quiet. You can't sit down and complain and moan that, oh, my voice is not being heard, when you're not doing anything about it. Remember, especially for women, this month is about being bold for change. So whatever that you've been kind of shying away from and saying that, oh, I can't do this thing, I will leave it, and maybe when I have enough, or when I next year, or I'll do it 2 years from now. Why are you why are you pushing it to next year, 2 years from now? Things are changing on a daily basis. If someone had talked about Brexit 3 years ago, I'll be like, what is Brexit? Obviously, that's the first question that's going to come out, because that word Brexit was coined around about the time of the election last year. So I'll be like, what is Brexit? What are you talking about? What is Brexit? But then here we are. This is the situation. This is live. This is happening. It's going to happen any day now. It's going to happen. We're going to hear it in the news. We're going to read about it in the newspaper, that this article has been triggered by our Prime Minister, Theresa May. Are you going to wait till the last minute before you begin to inquire what you need to do? It is now the time. I myself, I'm so interested about this in regards to my businesses, in regards to my children's future, in regards to my future and all our futures. I need to know what's going on. I need to understand, how will this impact me? It is going to be in a positive way. Is it going to be in a negative way? We need to think. Do we need to start thinking of doing business afar off? Is it better to bypass Europe altogether and just go out to the Americas, to Canada, to the Far East, to the Middle East? Where is that better? So those are questions we really need to think of and begin to ask ourselves, because we can't keep quiet and say that, oh, it's for them. It's not for them. It's not for them. It's for me and you. And it's so important that we have this understanding. So that's what Barefoot Conversation is about. The impact of Brexit on the female entrepreneurs. Actually, I should have titled it, the impact of Brexit on every one of us, because it's going to impact us in one way or the other, whether an entrepreneur or not an entrepreneur, whether young or old. Things are changing. Things are changing. But my question is, are they changing for good, or are they changing for worse? I'm leaving that with you, because I'm cautious of my time. My show is on every Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. to 11:30. So it's only for 13 minutes. It's only for 30 minutes. And I would love for you. I've had some people come on live, and I know I'm going to have some feedback from this, which is great, because it's a topical discussion that is ongoing, and I'm just adding my own little contribution to it. So, but I want us to do, I want to really stir up within the mind of each and every one of you to say to you that, listen, don't sit back and fold your hands and say it does not affect me. It will affect you in one way or the other. But my question again, is it for good or is it for bad? Are you going to gain more, or are you going to lose? That's the thing that you need to think of. I just want to, before I leave here, I just want to quickly tell you about next week's show. Next week's topic, I'm going to be talking about mental health. That's another topical issue that is around, that we're talking about right now in the news, in meetings, in the communities, in various places. That's a very big issue that is being talked about now. Mental health, and why is it such a taboo in some cultures? So listen, mental health, and why is it such a taboo in some cultures? I don't want to say much about that, but that's the topic for next week, Tuesday. So I would love for you to be with me next week, Tuesday, as we discuss mental health. But let's continue this conversation. I may be going offline now, but let's continue this conversation. I want you to drop in your comments. I want you, as you have done before, connect with me offline and online and say to me, Magdalene, because I don't know it all. I'm not an expert in Brexit, so please, I never came here to pretend to be an expert. I'm just giving you my thoughts, my ideas, and everything, the questions that are going through my head, and I'm just voicing them out to you, because this is what I'm thinking of, and I want you to also think about it, because it's going to impact us in various ways. Now, is it for good or is it for bad? But before I run off, I haven't done this. I've purposely not done this because I said I wanted to just have a conversation with you guys. But before I run off, I want you, those who are already not connected with me on any of my social media platform, please do connect with me or go to my website, www.magdaleneadenike.com. www.magdaleneadenike.com. I've got several things happening. I have an event coming up on the 1st of April 2017. It's called Shine Through Your Art. But go onto my website, magdaleneadenike.com. You're going to find out more information. And that's where, and you'll find out other things about what Magdalene is doing in terms of coaching and speaking. Let's connect. I would love to continue this conversation about Brexit and about everything else with you. Remember, next week's show is called Mental Health and Why Is It Such a Taboo in Some Cultures. Until next time, you have a great day. Bye for now.